Hello and welcome to The Mist. I'm your host, Aeromist. I've been needing to start this podcast for a while, and I've been needing to make this video specifically for a while because I feel like it's some important information that could help a lot of people, and it really needs to be said. Especially given that there's just a large emotional intelligence break in our entire society across the board. I feel like more than now, it's never been important to come across with this, especially with how little the professional aspect of help really isn't getting across to most people and isn't helping people. And, you know, systems based around money. So I'll leave it at that. Now, I know most podcasts they might last a long time. In a sense, I'm just going to be doing more of like a topic to topic thing unless people actually want to come on, or whatever the hell happens with that. So, this might only be 10 minutes, and maybe that's not a podcast. I don't know. I don't really care. Anyway, the topic of today's video is the key to conquering the mind and emotional intelligence. Now, the key is talking to yourself. So, let me elaborate on that, and I'm going to start with this distinction first. It's good to remember that there is the conscious and there's the subconscious. The conscious will convolutedly create thought no matter what the fuck you do, while the unconscious is always on the back end. It's the centerpiece of your soul. We could reprimand this as saying that that's the center point of unconditional love and the things that you give to other people that you don't give to yourself. So now that we understand that, let's elaborate on the key. Talking to yourself. All of the negativity in our minds is derived by somebody else's ideas that have been implanted there by somebody else, and we've continued to grow upon those. Those are seeds that were planted as trees, and we grew out those branches to envelop our own conscious mind and what we think is our thoughts. But all of those are traced back to one source, and that's usually somebody else's idea implanted at some point in time, and it's stuck for so long, right? So how do we break this though? You have to give to yourself what nobody else gave to you or has given to you at any point in time. And that could be unconditional love, care, self-worth, self-value, positive reinforcement, whatever the hell it might be. And if we're talking about previous senses of you, because if you're trying to get past trauma, then this is what you would need to do, is bring the previous you into, or previous yous into the room, into a white room. Envision a white room. Close your eyes, envision a white room, and bring your previous self into that room and have that conversation that you need to have. Whether that's giving forgiveness, love, self-worth, self-value, like, hey, you're worth it, like giving yourself all these positive reinforcements that you need to give yourself so that you can break away from your mentality existing in a different point in time. And because our experiences and everything that we go through and throughout a daily basis and have gone through create our perception and reality, it's important to be able to find our peaceful center points with all of those that have come before us. Otherwise, our mentality will always exist in different points of time instead of existing now, so we can continue to make progress and move forward. And that's why many people for a long time end up being stuck. That's why many people never end up getting out of a particular mindset of a particular age, and they live within that same realm for their entire fucking life half the time. Which is why we end up seeing a lot of like shitty parents these days, people that, they never grew up. So even though they're 50, 60, their mind is still years behind because they never made any progress. And it's important to remember that the brain functions in the brain is like a computer itself. It is wired in a particular way, and the only way to change this wiring is to start implementing something different to change the process of it. Because your mind, we'll say it's working in an infinity loop sign, right? And that infinity loop is existing on different levels. And so unless, and I don't want to get too spiritual with this, but we'll say the lower vibration is at the bottom, right? And this is where you are in the hole, you are dug, you are deep, all of that other stuff that we don't like. The only way to break away from that is to start implementing something of a higher vibration or of something more positive to start uplifting yourself out of there, to change the process. It's an overtime thing. But truly, I think deep down, we all want to be happy. We all want peace. We all want to be loved and all of those other things. But we have to give those things to ourselves especially before we even attempt to see it from other people, and realizing that most people in this world are fucking dog shit as it is, because they also don't have any reprimand of emotional intelligence in any aspect to be able to progress their self, their mentality, or anything of the sort. It's important to take it upon yourself to give yourself the things that you know you need to give yourself. I would rather be alone than be surrounded by people that are fucking shitty for me. Another aspect of this is to remember the what is going on in the subconscious. You have to be honest with yourself. If you want to make progress, like, you have to really be honest with yourself. And being honest with yourself is not digging yourself deeper in the hole, because most of the negativity that you're giving yourself, once again, since it's derived by somebody else's ideas, means that it's also not true. So, but you've built this reprimand to say, no, it is true. Like, I am trash. I am worthless. I am all this. And it's like, but who the fuck told you that as a belief system to say that that even is true? Somebody else. And so you built on that. And so now you believe that. So there has to be a point where you start taking a step back and actually start taking a different perspective in reality overall, and looking in and being like, okay, something is not right about everything that I've been told. And I watched a video once saying, you know, like, all of the information that we even have as it is like, it's a constant pass down from like human to human. Everything that we have is like always from like one person to another, to another, to another. And you could literally go with this to like, you could go back a long while for this, right? So besides the point though, we're not gonna get too far in that, but it's to say that your perception is given by what everyone else is giving to you. And unless you start thinking for yourself and putting your own thoughts and what's circulating in your mind and your infinity loop and your process, then you're going to be stuck in the same realm. And although you could implement this, it does take time. It is not easy and it's very hard. But no matter what, we're constant evolving creatures trying to get to the next version of ourselves, whether that's getting there tomorrow, next month, next week, next year, whatever the hell it is. So the only way to create this sense of progress is to be able to actually implement something as a key that will create a trail of stepping up. And even if you might fall down that staircase a little bit, you still have to be able to keep climbing and keep going up. And that's fine. We're humans. We have good and bad days. We have positive and negative emotions, and understanding those emotions as well as understanding how to mitigate them is very important. Now, for all of my fellow overthinkers and people that dive themselves deeper, because I know that when it comes to all of this and we talk about your mentality existing in a previous standpoint of time or whatever it might be, that you will walk that infinity loop for a long fucking time and never come to a stop point conclusion. And I think with all of this also comes with talking to yourself to give yourself that blockage point, to say like, you know, this is enough, like I'm overthinking, giving the positive reassurance. Or at the same point, whenever you're thinking, like understanding how to emotionally disconnect yourself from what isn't serving you in a positive manner. And I think mitigating our emotions to what we're thinking and what we're processing and what we're feeling is very important, right? You know, I'm not going to give my emotion to things that are out of my control and all of these other kinds of things that like they're affecting my emotions and they would just be doing nothing but that, right? If it's a direct effect on me by somebody else and in a concurrent way, then I know what I felt from that and how I have to react to it and be able to build from that to be able to get to a better standpoint with my own mentality. Now, not everybody wants help either. And I think that's also why I really wanted to make this video, is like I've told a lot of people aspects of this, if not all of it overall, like individually and from person to person. But I feel like not only do people sometimes need to hear it again, but you know, sometimes just people need it on their own time. And I think it's good to understand how much you give out as well as how much you're trying to give to yourself. You need to give more to yourself sometimes than what you're giving out to other people. And sometimes the only way to give 100% of yourself to other people is to understand you need to be at 100%. You got to be in a good position. You know, although things have been a little rough lately in my own position, if I wasn't in a good spot, then there'd be no way for me to, you know, essentially quote unquote play therapist for people. But I don't even like looking at that. I feel like everybody needs some type of guidance, and I've done my best to try to figure out how to offer that guidance so that people can get progress. We all need progress. And in my own personal journey, you know, I've been in and out of the professional system. I've gone through all of that. I've done everything that I could possibly do to get help in a quote unquote sense. And the only way for me to not only be able to help myself, but be able to pass this on to other people so that they can help themselves, because help starts with you, is understanding all of this. One thing I wanted to mention was what we do at our subconscious level sometimes. And a lot of times we succumb ourselves to self-destructive habits and behavior, and even surrounding ourselves in things that are self-destructive subconsciously. We succumb ourselves to what we think we deserve, whether that's being surrounded by people that are terrible for us, inducing substances that we know aren't good for us, eating food and other things that would just make us feel like shit, whatever it is. Like, we are subconsciously destroying ourselves sometimes by the things that we put ourselves into, people or anything else of the sort. And it's like, and we know whenever things are bad for us or they make us feel like shit, but we do it anyway, right? Why? Because we feel like that's what we deserve. And that is derived into, once again, the place of somebody else putting the thing that, you know, saying you aren't worth it and all of those other things. And the only way to counteract that is to be able to positively give yourself what it is that you need to hear, which is to say, hey, you are worth it. Hey, like, you know, what this person had said about you or tried to make you believe isn't actually truthful, even though it's plagued your mind so much that you believe that that is one of the only truths that you actually have. Well, once again, there has to be a point where you take a step back and you finally take a different evaluative standpoint to be able to say, well, what is the root of this? And how do I get over it? Because in almost every essence of thought process, it's rooted from somebody else's idea. That's pretty much like our entire tale of existence as it is information from somebody else, from somebody else, from somebody else. Once again. So with that, if I'm going over everything that I know in my memory bank, my emotional bank, and everything of the sort, and I'm going over all of this, it's important to understand where certain things are deriving from. Because if you sit there, you stay honest with yourself, and you think long enough, then you could probably dissect it all yourself. Like, the mind is powerful, and we don't give ourselves enough credit of understanding that we actually do know what we know. And I think a lot of that also comes with people telling you that you don't know shit or whatever it is, and you end up not even believing yourself. So your entire belief system literally ends up being based around somebody else's belief system, and that goes off once again what they thought of you, not your mind being plagued by what your own thoughts should be. And even if it is your own thoughts, in a sense, that is derived by somebody else's thought. So you have to change the process. We'll say that there's a bunch of lines connecting to one little board, right? A bunch of wires connecting to that board. And those wires, instead of connecting themselves back inward, and in some sense, they're connected to another piece of hardware, to another place, or they're connected. We'll say that you exist in a point, and there is an imaginary wire that is connected from your mind to all of these other people that have implanted something. And until you start chipping away at all of those wires and connecting themselves back inward to be able to facilitate your perspective on reality in a better light, then you will constantly be feeding your entire existence and your perception off of somebody else, off of another idea, off of another basis. So you have to break this mold. Implement the green into the red infinity sign. No matter what, and although I know that all of this is not easy, it's never going to be easy. But fuck, life isn't easy. None of us asked to be here anyway, right? But there is always a way to conquer, to figure out, to understand ourselves and everything around us and what we've been through. And if you're watching this, maybe it's time that you sit with your thoughts. You sit with your previous selves, and you take this one tool into consideration, and start digging yourself out of the hole that you've dug into for a long time. Remember to understand that you can have bad days, you can have bad times, and you can feel your emotions in a good or bad manner, but don't let it linger so hard that it literally consumes your existence. Be real with yourself, be real with the people around you, and I think you'll do just fine. I'm trying to mentally think if there's anything else as far as this one particular topic I need to cover. Because I think that really is it. You got to talk to yourself, man. You do. You have to tell yourself that you're worth it, that you're great, that you matter, that, you know, you have to counteract all those negative thoughts with something better so that you can feel and see a better day. And there really is no other way around it. If you want me to elaborate more on this, or you have any suggestions, I have no problem doing like a part 2 or whatever the hell it is, because I feel like there's a lot to be said about emotional intelligence, and even if anyone would be willing to, because I've done this for some people, and if anyone would actually be willing to go over some topics, like almost like as a concurrent therapy session in a sense, but like just getting perspectives on different things. I'm not a licensed therapist, and I don't claim to be, but I do know some shit about seeing a different perspective on what needs to be there and coming to a point of conclusion and seeing what needs to be seen, so that, you know, other people can understand maybe in their own lanes of what they need to see. And that's why I kind of haven't done this in a while, is I'm like, how am I going to trail on with this for a while? Because I feel like if I say the baseline of it, it's very straightforward, and even elaborating on it is still pretty straightforward. But, you know, whenever I'm giving somebody advice or trying to help someone get through something, even in an immediate or a mild standpoint, it comes where, like, everything I'm giving them, I sometimes wish I remembered as a standpoint, but like I know how to go off things in a certain stance sometimes better than I do just going straight off of my head. So if there's anything specific that you want me to cover that might relate to this or anything else of the sort, then please leave it in the comments, DM me on Instagram, anything of the sort. But as far as I can think, I think that is about it. So thank you for tuning in to this short episode of The Mist. I'm definitely going to try to do more of these. Yeah. Let me know if you guys like the music in the background too, if I should do that or not, continue to do that. I feel it's formidable. I kind of enjoy it myself. So, but yeah, thank you for watching. Stay strong. Stay strong, man. Like, you can do it. It's hard, but you can do it. Like, you really can. You've come this far. You've gotten through all the things you've gotten through. You've processed over all the things that you've processed through. So at this point, take anything positive from this, if there is to take from it, and I hope that it changes your life for the better. Stay strong. I love you.